Welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and inspire you to live your most empowered and joyful life. I'm also the founder of the 3G Effect Mindset, a daily practice to keep you heart-centered in everything you do by taking 3 important actions. Number 1, having a grateful heart and connecting to your gratitude. When you're connecting to your gratitude, you're eliminating those negative emotions and negative feelings, and therefore connecting more to positive people, experiences, and things that you want into your life. Number 2, to ground in love and compassion. First, love and compassion for yourself, because everything starts with you. And then learning to share that love and compassion with others. When you're in a place of love and compassion, you're able to get away from judgment and stop judging yourself so much, and therefore learn to love yourself more, learn to accept yourself more, learn to believe in yourself more, and also be able to extend that love and compassion towards other people, and not to judge everybody as much as we do all the time, because the less we judge ourselves, the less we will judge others. So make sure every day that you're grounding in love and compassion. And number 3 is to know that you're guided by God. God is inside you. God is beside you. God is all around you. Just learn to open your heart and soul to God. Learn to pray to God. Ask God for guidance on your journey. Thank God daily for all the miracles that are brought into your life. By staying connected to those 3 important actions every day, you will start seeing things in your life shift and change, and therefore manifest more the things that you want into your life, because everything starts on the inside. And those 3 things, grateful heart, grounded in love and compassion, and guided by God, are all the inner work you do on yourself to create the miracles in your outside world. I know, because I've been doing this for about 30 years, and it's completely transformed my life in every single way. Today, I'm so excited to bring you a great topic that I hope will really inspire all of you. I really want you to get to know me better and get to know more my life's journey and my journey with my partner. My incredible husband, Dr. Stephen Crane, is here with me today. And we're going to be sharing things with you about relationships and how to create an amazing relationship. After all, we've been married for 27 years, and we want to be able to inspire you to keep creating those beautiful things that you want into your life, because it's really up to us to create everything. So no further ado, let me introduce my husband, Dr. Stephen Crane. Welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast.
Hey, thank you so much, sweetheart. I'm so excited to be here. I hear you do these things all the time, and they're so insightful and they're so helpful. And just being with you and then just living with you for the past 27 years is just an amazing journey. And my love for you grows and grows and grows. So I'm super excited to be here to talk about how we manage that and how other people can actually learn from that and maybe have their better relationships themselves.
Yeah, I love that. And I just think it's, so cool to be able to sit together and speak about this, because I think everybody wants to know, like, how do you stay in a long-term relationship? What's important in a relationship? And for us, there's one thing that's always stood really solid in our relationship. And I know we could take this in so many directions, because there's so many things we could talk about over the time we've been together. But one thing, the foundation of our relationship that kept us so grounded in ourselves and grounded together has been, we talked about mindset, and how mindset has helped us really nurture our relationship. And I have to say, I've learned so much of things from you, from the way you live your life, because you have a very easy way of just living your life in a very loving, kind ease about you. And I always tell people, I say, my husband dances through life. He just dances through life. He knows how to have fun. He doesn't take things too hard. So I thought maybe we'd start talking a little bit about maybe gratitude and how gratitude is important for relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's really key. Mindset, of course, in anything we do is really super important, because because that approach, okay, is going to set the stage for whatever you're going to do and whatever's going to come back your way. So I think that gratitude is a super one to start with, because I think people in relationships a lot of times they get into their grind, they get into things, and they kind of stop noticing what they love about their partner, what's so grateful about them. And I think that needs to be front and center. Because if that's front and center, then your approach to the other person is going to be in a much more gentle and loving way, okay? And you're going to appreciate them. And so therefore, you're not going to have these negative thoughts and everything that kind of brings down a relationship. So I think it's really important. Gratitude is one of the top, I think, in a relationship. Absolutely.
Yeah, so what are some things that you would say in your own life that you've done, which I know you're always grateful, but what are some examples like we can like share with them that we've done in our relationship to show gratitude for each other? Is there something you want to start, and then we'll go back and forth?
Well, there's so many things, to actually come up with one specific thing, because it's a daily ritual. It's a constant thing. It's like a moment by moment, choice in your head, okay, to choose gratitude. You know what I'm saying? Because like they say, no two things can occupy the same space at the same time. So if you're in gratitude, that's all you have space for, and that's what you're going to do. And I think life works better and flows better when you're in gratitude. I mean, there's just so many things, just how you approach our life and how dedicated you are to us and our kids, there's so many things to be grateful for, and I think just focusing on, how much you contribute to the relationship and how valuable you are, okay, in both, a personal relationship and with the kids, I think just really helps key my mind into the gratitude that's so important.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree that, that constant feeling of gratitude. But why do you think, like in relationships, like so many people lose that? Like, I just feel like they're just too focused on other things and they kind of get away from gratitude. And there's a lot of distractions out there. Like, I just feel like people are very distracted. What do you think we should tell people that are very distracted to come back to that place of gratitude? What would be, you think, a tool that we can give them?
Well, that kind of also ties into, just self-care and self-nurturing, because I think what we do is we give so much and we work so hard and we're trying to, do so many things that we forget about ourselves, we forget about our relationships. And I think that's, what's important is you have to maybe take some time, to yourself and just kind of recharge and kind of get back to yourself. Because if you don't have the resources, okay, to nurture yourself, you're not going to have the resources to nurture and to give to other people, right? So it's hard. I understand. You're right. It's hard to be in that area of gratitude, okay, when you're so mixed up in that sludge of everyday life, right? So I think taking a pause, taking a step back, maybe meditating, like you and I have started that, doing some meditation, and I think that really makes a huge difference in, kind of getting at peace. Because I think we really need to have some peace in our life, and we need to nurture and recharge and refresh ourselves. And without that, it's really very difficult to get to a place of like gratitude and compassion and love and that kind of a thing. So I think taking a step back, having a pause, and concentrating. Don't forget about yourself. When people forget about themselves, they forget about because they're so in that little, the gerbil wheel that they're running. So I think that's why it's really important to just take a step back and pause and create something for yourself that'll allow you to create something for others.
No, I love that. But in so many instances, people don't get that pause as often, because especially when you're supporting a family, you're working really hard, your wife is home taking care of the kids, you go to work, you have all these things going on, all these people pulling at you, you have all these bills to pay. There's so much going on all the time, right? And so a lot of people bring that stress home. Right? You've never done that. You've never brought the stress from work, from the stress from everyday life to our house, right? You always came home with a smile on your face, like you had the perfect day. What would you think people can do to be able to be in that space? Because that takes something a little deeper to be able to be in a space like life is happening, stress is happening. Not everything is like from the first day you got married, right? And it's not like this. There's kids, there's other things. The dynamic of the whole family changes from the time you met and it was just you and me. So how are you able to keep yourself in that place of even with everything pulling at you, you're not bringing that stress home. What can you tell people? What it really helps you do that?
Well, thankfully, I've been fortunate at an early age to have a broader perspective on life. You know what I mean? I've always looked at life kind of in the broad perspective. What's really important? Like, what's really important? And I never thought that blaming somebody who's not responsible for my stress, okay, that does not make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I come home, I have a hard day at work, I have somebody. Has nothing to do with you. That's not your fault. It's not the kid's fault. Nobody in my family has contributed to that. So the separation. So I think it's really important. I think that if you can compartmentalize a little bit, kind of like just really place your emphasis where it needs to be. Because being upset at you isn't going to reduce my stress. If anything, it may increase my stress, right? So dealing with the actual source of the stress is really the most powerful thing to do. So that's one thing. And also, I think it's really important. I go about my day and I try to enjoy every part of it. So even when I'm working, I'm having a blast. Okay, I joke with my patients, I joke with my staff, we have a great time, we have a thing. So I think that's what's important is that, life needs to be relished and enjoyed, right? So every little moment, though, not just specific, okay, I'm going to go on vacation next year on Wednesday and I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be happy then. Every single thing you do, as you do it, okay, in my head, I process, how can I make this more enjoyable? Like, why can't, there has to be a way to make this a little bit more fun so that we can get through our things that could be considered monotonous otherwise. I think that's important.
I love that. So how do you think that you were able to find that joy in every moment? Because I think that's something that's like deeper, right, than even gratitude. Finding that joy in every moment, not letting the little things get to you. That really does take something. How can somebody, do you think, can start practicing that? Because it's not, like we know, like not everything's fun to do. Like it's not fun. And so we make meaning out of like, this is fun, this is not fun. Can we make meaning that like everything is fun?
Of course we can. Of course we can. And like I said, I approach everything as like, how can I make this fun or how can I make this more fun? So it's not about like, oh, how am I going to get through this thing? How this stuff sucks. That's not, I work on keeping my mindset where it's like, okay, how can I make this more fun? How can I make this more enjoyable? Because I got to do it anyway. So I might as well make it something that it's not so tedious. Try to make it more enjoyable. And I think part of that is, like we said, touched on before, is a perspective. Because is it really that important, okay, to be aggravated about this little thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that serving me, right? And I think that's an important question to ask us. How is this ourselves? How does this serve me? You know what I mean? It serves me much better to have fun and to go and get these things done in a positive way than to sit there and dread it and try to get it over with. And then, things can get in the way of that, and you can end up either doing things not 100%, you know what I mean? I personally think that, you put your heart into what you do, right? So everything that I do, I want to, make sure that I do the best that I can and, put my heart into try to serve myself or other people. So I think when you have that kind of perspective or mindset, I think, things just kind of flow much better and you don't get bogged down with all these little, nitpicky things.
I love that. That is really important, right? Not to be bogged down by the little things, not to let the stress, the anger, the emotions get in the way. And why so many people do get caught up in emotions, I know even myself, like, and emotions will take a lot of that joy and peace away in that very moment, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a special way to handle emotions for you?
Well, for me, I've been practicing for a long time not to allow my emotions to get in the way of things, because I know that that's not serving me, and you end up becoming impulsive, or you end up doing things that you may not really love the result. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important. I know for me it's important, okay, to just really be focused on, being just present to the great gratitude and the things, so just keep your mind filled with things that empower you, so you don't let those little things creep into your head and spoil your experience.
And like you say, don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Don't sweat the small stuff, and also don't panic, which is a great thing that I think is really important. Now, it's a really fun thing. That way back when I was younger, there was this series, and then it was a book by Douglas Adams called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And they had a thing where you can actually hitch a ride on a spaceship if you have this notebook and a towel and you, underneath when they come over you. On the notebook, it said, "Don't panic," because a lot of people would be nervous about getting up there and making it, and missing the ship, whatever. So I really adopted that afterwards. I said, don't panic, because there's really nothing to panic about. You know what I mean? Like you said the other day, we're not like fighting for our life in that situation. You know what I mean? It's some kind of inconvenience. You know what I mean? And we can blow it up into this crazy thing in our head and create all this chaos in it. Just unnecessary, and I really try to live a life of peace. Okay, I really want to be peaceful in my life. I don't need all the stress. I don't need this. So for me to be peaceful, I focus on the love, I focus on the gratitude, and I focus on the big picture, and that helps me.
Yeah, so important to not see. And like you said about going back to don't panic, which I love, your motto of life, right? You live your life with no panic, which is so powerful. And we do panic sometimes, especially I panic when I'm under stress, when I'm like, oh my God, I have to be somewhere at a certain time and some things go wrong, like my phone's not working, like the other day, right? My phone died. And then I have an electric car, so I didn't know how to open my electric car without my phone, even though there's a card, but I didn't know how to use it, never used it before. I had to be somewhere in 20 minutes, and I was kind of like, panicking a little bit, right? Like, how am I going to do it? And you were like, you kind of put into perspective saying, about not panicking, which I really love, is you said you're not on an island where like nobody can help you and you're on your own and you have to figure out how to survive the next day, right?
Right.
So I think it's just like so important to learn to put things into perspective, right? Into kind of categories to help us through. It's almost like a toolbox, learning to have a toolbox of things that when things arise, we can reach into a toolbox and grab a tool. And it kind of seems like you've been very good at putting things into compartments rather than mushing it all together in like stirring it together in a bunch of emotions. Would you say that's something that you've been good at?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that one thing that I think is also really important is to have kind of faith and trust. If it's God, if it's the universe, or whatever, that things are going to work out. I mean, I think that that's really key. Because that really gets myself, and I know other people that really helps them kind of get through the tougher things or the things that are more stressful. It's like, look, it's going to happen. And I personally ask myself, what's the worst that's going to happen? What, are you going to be late? Oh my God, you know what I mean? Oh my God, you're going to be late? So what's the worst thing? You're not, God forbid, you're not in a car accident, you're not there, there's nothing. So it's really, for me, I think it's really important to just keep that perspective, keep the faith and trust, and really, things are not as big as we typically make them mean, make them. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and me and you have done a lot of self-work on ourselves. Let's talk a little bit about ourselves. We've done a lot of self-work over the years because we have a growth mindset and we want to grow. We want to do better and be better. And one of the things that we've done was Landmark Education, which really helped us get some empowering tools. For me, it's taught me that we're meaning making machines. We're always making meaning. Something happens, we make it mean this, so we make it mean that. And it taught me to not take things so hard. Like if somebody says something to me, not to make it mean anything about myself, to be able to let it go. And I think that's one of the things that's really helped me get empowered is we have to learn to let go, right? Letting go, forgive, I think that has been a huge part of our growth together as a couple, that we chose to do things together to help each other grow. Like I would do something, it would be good for me. I felt like I grew from it, and then I would have you do it, extend it to you. So to me, that has really helped us, keep growing together as a couple rather than growing apart.
Absolutely, and I think it's important, to do things together, to spend, and like earlier you asked about like you have all these things going on and the stress and stuff like that. How do you take time for yourself? That's something you have to intentionally do. It's not going to just appear all of a sudden. Hey, I got some time for myself. You have to create. It's like creating your life, right? You have to create space for yourself too, and create space for your family. And I think that's creating space within the relationship. Where we do things together. Like when we first met, you did Israeli dancing, folk dancing. It was a love. You loved that so much. It was like really lit you up to do that. And I didn't know anything about that. I'm like, I don't even know if I went. I'm like, I'm going to try it, and because it's something that's valuable to you, so I want to see if maybe we can share that. Maybe that's something that we can share and grow with together. And I did, and I stumbled a lot, and we had a lot of fun, figuring that out. I had a lot of fun figuring that out. But it became to something that we were able to do, and it was really kind of brought us closer together. So I think that's really important too, to make sure that you have time to do things together, and try the stuff out. Not let being separate all the time. Try something that your partner likes. You know what I mean? See if that's something, because maybe you'll dig it too. And you can share that together. And if you don't like it, you work on something else. I think that's also important.
Yeah, I really believe, they say opposites attract, but I really believe the more you have in common, the easier the relationship is. And that's what I've seen in my own life, is that the more we have things that and the flexibility, right? Like what you were saying, the flexibility to be able to try something new, not to, I seen relationships where the wife's into something, or I had boyfriends like that, right? Where I was into something, they would actually make fun of it. Right? Or you even see that in the real world. You could be at the supermarket and, the husband will say something negative to the wife, right? And kind of side with the cashier to make fun of his wife, like things like that, And I just think, we have to be so conscious and, being conscious of how we are behaving in every moment with our partner, how we're interacting with the partner.
I think that's also really very valuable, is we have to pay attention to how we show up and what we do, and our language is really important, because I know a lot of people, they say stuff and they're like, oh, I didn't mean that. Well, okay, then please don't say that if you don't mean it. Say what you mean what you say. It's a simple formula, but it's not always easy to do, because we do a lot of things unconsciously. Like, that's one of the things in Landmark that I thought was really valuable, is we get in touch with how we're creating our life, how we're showing up to life, and how we express ourselves. And I've never thought, it's never been something that I thought was a good thing to do, is to take anybody down. Okay, I think that when people leave us, they should feel better about themselves. They should feel more empowered. Okay, and I think that's how our journey needs to be as human beings. You know what I mean? It's not about tearing each other, just working. Like, you have this whole, mindset, and this whole the World Healing Tour, and you used to have the Conscious Co-op, all these things, bringing people together to do things together to lift themselves up. And I think that's really what we're meant to do. And I think that we need to get more in touch with that. And if it takes Landmark, or if it takes therapy, or if it takes whatever it is, I think it's important for us to get back to that, and to get back to our true selves, the nurturing, loving people that we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and therapy, talking about therapy, we've done some therapy over the years too, when we went through obstacles and different things. And I think it really is about being so solid, standing up for no matter what, we're going to work through things, And actually, I loved therapy. For me, it was fun. I really enjoyed it, because I felt like after every therapy session, we got closer. It wasn't setting us apart. So I think it's that open mindset to be able to see the other person's perspective, and me always feeling like I want to be better for you. I want to do better for you, I think that mindset really does drive things in a positive way forward.
Right. And I think that you touched on something that's really super important, and that's really commitment. Okay, I mean, like you said, mindset. When you go into a marriage or relationship, there's got to be the thought and the commitment that this is something that I'm going to put my energy into to try to make this succeed. This is something that I want to succeed. Okay, a lot of people nowadays, especially with all the social media and all the Hollywood, everybody breaking up, and there's like a throwaway society. Oh, I don't like him, and he might throw them away. I don't like anything. But you meet somebody, you fall in love, and you get committed to somebody, and then you're in there for what it takes, for that relationship to succeed. And I'm not saying that you need to do that forever. Sometimes relationships aren't meant to work out, and that's okay. That's okay, but you give it your best shot. You know what I mean? Like I had a girl before we met. We met. We were together, and I was committed, but at a certain point, like I was giving everything, and it just wasn't working. You know what I mean? But I felt really good because I gave everything that I needed to do to give. I put my whole self into this, and I'm saying, okay, it's not working. You have the foresight to step back and say, okay, I'm gonna get out of this relationship and find something that's actually better for me.
Yes, yes. We sometimes we have to walk away. It's not always going to be perfect, right? And that's why let's go back a little bit to our relationship and how important it is to make sure that you're getting together with somebody you could grow with, right? There's some important things that we have to look at, like as far as like common values, I think somebody that's easygoing, that's flexible, somebody that works on themselves, right? That somebody that is rooted in themselves, grounded in themselves, right?
Right,
I think
right.
those are some important things. When I was looking to find my soulmate, when I was looking to, for you, I knew what I wanted in a person. I knew what I was looking for, and I think that's really important in order to choose better, to choose a partner better. I think that's something that maybe people take too lightly, because I believe there's a fine line between love and hate. You could love somebody one day, and like you see in the outside world, every day people get divorced. So there's a fine line. But I always say, find somebody who adores you. Adores you is so much deeper than just love, And when I think of adore, it's like the way a mom loves her child, right? It's something very deep. It's something really, it's a very deep seed that we put in the ground, and we really nurture on a daily, every day, right? And so, what would you say about that, about the adore thing? Because I think that's something that really we do have in our relationship, is the fact that we really do adore each other. The love is so deep. There's a real soul connection between us, and I think that love can be very surfaced.
Sure.
But when you find a deeper soul connection with the other person, when the other person is your best friend and somebody that you just couldn't see your life without, and you really nurture that seed again every single day, that really does grow. So love doesn't have to fade. It can really grow. Like our love today is stronger than it was when we met. Would you say? Like a lot stronger. Our passion for each other, our just everything is it's grown over the years, through the challenges, through whatever, we've grown this beautiful tree, right? And I think that that's something that people need to be more aware of, is like, who are they choosing in their lives, and how can they really nurture that seed? Because, when you choose somebody, it shouldn't be a light thing. Like I really believe choosing the person you're going to marry is the most important decision of your life.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, a lot of people get into a lot of trouble choosing the wrong person. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Makes total sense. And I think that's exactly what you're saying, that it's important to be conscious of that. And I think it requires, deep knowledge of yourself, right? Like you said, the self-growth and stuff like that, because it's really hard to choose somebody who's right for you when you don't even know what you want, or you don't know who. So I think that we as human beings need to work on ourselves, develop ourselves, get to a point where we have an intimate relationship with ourselves, so that we know, okay, I know that this person's not going to be good for me because this is how I am. This person is going to be great for me, and you want to be with them, because. And we were a little bit older when we got to meet each other, so we were in a position where we knew better what we wanted, what we didn't want. So I think that made the choice, easier and more seamless. And then of course there's the dedication to the relationship that allows it to flourish over time.
And getting back to eliminating. So for me, a big part of life, just in general, not even in relationships, but I see it in every aspect of our lives, we have to learn to eliminate those things that we don't want, and be very intentional with it, not drag things out for a long time, and usually, pretty quickly, if a person is for you, if they're not for you. And I feel like too many people, they kind of overlook the signs. They kind of want to believe that this is, because the mind can be a little delusional. It can take us to places, it make us want to see things. And like you said, what you said about this is taking our power back, right? We have to learn to take our power back, in order to choose. So in our case, when I was ready to get married and find my soulmate, right, and find my partner in life, I knew that I had to choose, because in the past, guys always chose me. I called myself like the wind. I used to be like the wind. So if somebody liked me here, I was here. If somebody liked me here, I was here. But I never loved myself enough to say, wait a minute. Like, this is the most important decision of my life. I can't leave it up to this guy or this guy. I have to take my power back. I have to learn to love myself enough to believe that I deserve somebody amazing in my life. And I think that was the big turning point for my life, is that I was able to take that power back and choose myself. So I think one thing that people need to do is they have to learn to choose rather than to be chosen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's standing in your power, right? Is I get to choose. I get to create this. This is my life.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people get married for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? They and one of them is, because they don't feel so confident in themselves and not empowered. So, this guy likes me, so you know what I mean. I go with him, like you said. The jumping around. I think that's why it's so important and I wish that they would teach these things in school, and when kids are younger, how to create empowerment in your own life. So by the time you're in a position where you want to get married or you want to find somebody that you want to spend your life with, okay, you're already in a more powerful place, like that. So it should be kind of, already indoctrinated in us that we are powerful and we get to choose, and it's as important to, like you said, eliminate to understand who's not should be in our life, and that's with anything. It's anybody who you do business with, who you relate with. Okay, anything like that is really important, because you pick the wrong person for something, and you can it can lead you down a really really kind of dark path. You know what I mean? So I think it's really important. And self-empowerment and you cannot nurture your relationship. You cannot nurture, your children. You cannot come to life with full juice and power and be able to create fully without being nurtured and being empowered in yourself. I think it's really important.
Yes. So that took a lot of work for me to get to that place. And then what do you think about the fact that I always say, so this is one thing I always say in relationships, is that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So I really believed when I was dating and when I was looking to find you, that, when I was dating guys, I could tell them on the first date that I'm looking to get married and I want to have children and I want to have a family. And I wasn't afraid to say that, because I figured if somebody was afraid of that and they didn't want the same thing I wanted, then why am I going to waste my time, with them? Like, to find out 3 months later, 4 months later, 6 months later, 2 years later, 3 years later. People waste a lot of time. Right. And so if you're intentional and this is what you want, why are people being so inauthentic and not being truthful with what they want? Because the truth is, if you're being truthful with what you want, you're going to be able to eliminate all those things that are not aligned with you. And that to me was a win.
Sure,
Every time somebody would run the other way or go the other way, I was like a win for me, because I knew like I wasn't going to waste any more time with them.
Absolutely, but that comes back to knowing yourself. Some people, they don't know what they want, so it's really hard for them to distinguish what they want, what they don't want. You know what I mean? And that makes it more difficult, and that makes it more complicated. But I think you touched on something that's really important, because when you're, like you said, can't say the wrong thing to the right person, that touches on just being honest. Being honest with yourself, being honest with them, because I think that's a real foundational piece, okay, to a lasting and thriving relationship is being honest and communicating what your needs are, what's going on with you, what I mean? But not in an aggressive way, but in a way so that the other person understands where you're coming from, so there can be some kind of meeting of the minds, and maybe think you can tweak this, tweak that, so that it's more comfortable for everybody. I think that's very, very important, to be really honest and forth. And I personally was a really bad communicator. I'm still not as great as I want to be, because I used to think like, I'm going to, if I don't want to stress her out, I'm going to keep this, tucked away, like I'm going to compartmentalize this over here, compartmentalize this over here, so I don't, have to, stress you out or things like that. But I found that it's really much more empowering, and the relationship is so much richer Okay, when there's that honesty, because then first of all, there's no sliding and hiding around, not trying, and there's upfront straightforwardness, and then you can actually tackle things on a real level and actually create something new and fresh and better in your relationship. So I think honesty is really, really important. And we misconstrue. Look, I know as a man, I come in and I want to protect you. I want to protect my family. So I don't want to stress you out. I don't want, So part of that though, it's built into, okay, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that. But now but over the years, I've discovered through, your help, of course, being so one of the most honest people I've ever met, and it really makes, and I think that part of that process, though, what's important for the person listening to that is you need to be like a soft place to fall, right? You need to be an accepting place. It's because if you're coming across with somebody, you're going to be honest, and they're going to like drag you down or they're going to knock you out with it. That's not going to promote more honesty, right? So I think it's a give and take with that, but you need to be able to receive the honesty without feeling defensive, without feeling that you have to attack, without any kind of negative, right? And say, okay, I'm just going to accept that for what it is, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to consider that, and we're going to talk it over, and we're going to figure out a better way to approach this. I think that's really important for a relationship.
Yes, honesty is definitely something that's important because it's the foundation. It's what we build on, right? If that foundation is strong, we can build. But if it's weak, it's not. It could fall apart easily. So
Absolutely.
I absolutely believe honesty, and learning to have fun with each other, right? Not to take life so seriously. I was always a very serious person. Before I met you, everything was really serious.
Yeah,
Because of my
that's true.
conditioning, because of my upbringing,
Sure.
I had a lot of trauma in my life and a lot of things that I went through. And so I saw life from a very different lens than you saw life. And sometimes it was like strange. I was like, oh my God, like he's too happy. Like, how can he be happy all the time? Why is he happy? Like, I liked it, but at the same time, I also it was foreign language for me, right? Like,
Sure, sure.
where is this happiness coming from? All the
Right.
time, that excitement, that happiness, right? And so, that's something that I think people really need to learn is to just have more fun within themselves, right? To laugh more. I feel like, we've through all the years, we've always been laughing. Like it's always been fun and
Right.
and funny, and laughter has always been a huge part of our relationship.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, you happen to be
Yeah.
very funny, and it's just been such a fun journey. I mean, it feels like yesterday. It doesn't
Right.
feel like it's been 27
Right. I
years,
know.
right? It feels like it's been yesterday, but that's because we've nurtured that seed. We grew that seed,
Hmm.
and it's just kept growing and stronger and stronger. And
Hmm.
everything that we've been through, even when people go through obstacles and through things, right?
Hmm.
It's just a lesson. It's just something to grow through. It's not something to
Absolutely.
blame or to point the finger at the other person. And I think that in relationship really doesn't work.
Right. Well, I think coming back to one of the reasons I think I have this perspective is growing up with my mom. She was had language that wasn't always empowering, right? She used to say, "Oh, what's wrong with you? You doing this?" She would she'd run out, because I'd make some mischief or something as a kid, and I'd run upstairs to the bathroom and lock myself in the bathroom because she'd be running after me so she wouldn't get to me, and she'd bang on the door. She goes, "Open this door, or I'll break every bone in your body." I'm like, well, first of all, why would I open the door if you're saying that? But second of all, it's like she just the way she expressed herself. So I learned to kind of not take things seriously because I knew she loved me. I had a real deep knowledge that she loved me, and her expression was wrong. So I think that that's an important thing when people are talking to you, expressing themselves. Don't take it personally. A lot of people, like you said, some people come home from the work and they're ragging on their family. It had nothing to do with the family. So if I was on the receiving end of that, it'd be like, okay, so you had a hard day at work, whatever. Have a little compassion for the person, and just don't let it, you know put you into a place where you get defensive. You gotta attack back. What do you mean you're saying that? Because it's really not relevant, and it doesn't advance the relationship at all. And I've gotten to the point where sometimes people are getting mad at me, and I'm laughing. I'm like, look at what they're going through. It's so unnecessary for them to be that way. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that's really important in relationships. Just don't take things so personally. Have fun, And another thing I wanted to bring up is I've always seen you, okay, as the big person that you are. You know what I mean? When I came into the relationship, no matter where you were actually, okay, I saw you. You're this amazing, wonderful, incredible human being, and you're just growing into that. You're growing into that. So in that perspective, you're not hung up on the little things. It's because you're going through a growth process, and you're like, this is. I see. You know what I mean? You open a space, and I see you are this incredibly huge human being. You're work, and I think and I know that all of us are. Okay, we're all capable of incredible, amazing things. And maybe just because we're not there yet, doesn't mean that you have to get all excited. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, they're not there yet. They're getting there. You know what I mean? They're getting there, but this is their true person. This is who they truly are. So I think that keeping that as a perspective or as a mindset, also when you're looking at the lens you look at other people with, makes a huge, huge difference. For a quick story about that, when I was I'm a dentist by trade, right? And so I remember I was working for a corporate place, and we had this one patient that we'd all look on the schedule like, oh my God, he's coming in here. Not that he was a bad guy, but he was just high maintenance, really difficult. Nobody really enjoyed being with him. So one day we saw him on the schedule, and I'm looking there, and I have my assistants on either side, and they said, oh, he's coming in. I said, listen, I go, you watch. This guy's going to be our best freaking patient of the day. You just watch, okay? I declared it, right? I declared it, and I declared it openly, so they would hopefully share my mindset, right? When he came in, he was the best freaking patient of the day. It really worked out. So it's really what you project and what you expect has a lot to do with how people show up.
That is so true. And I have to say, your words create your world, and your world is created by your words. I always say that. And we do create so much with our language and our words. And you saying that you've always seen me in that really high space, and the space that you gave me as a person, let me heal, let me grow into the woman that I am today. So I do feel so blessed about that. And the day that I wrote my book, that's over there, called The Grass is Greenest Where I Am. It talks about no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity, living in your own love and light and sharing your unique gifts with the world. So when I actually published the book and did the party, the launch for my book was on your birthday, right?
I remember that,
On September 13th, because I wanted to honor you with it, because you've done so much to honor me. I couldn't have been half the woman that I am today, seriously, if it wasn't for your love and support. And your love and support has lifted me up to be able to write this book, right? and in this book, I write about how we met, right? And about how we found each other, and how to find your soulmate, because I actually had a whole plan and a whole way of how I was going to manifest my soulmate. I actually, I did a step by step, and our story is a beautiful story. We were actually engaged after 1 month from the time we met. We saw each other 2 times before we got engaged. And it's just been just the most incredible ride. And just to know that we continue to grow together, continue to become together, and your love, your passion, your being, just who you are in the world, has totally lifted me up to the woman that I am today. And I mean, it's just like the blessing. And I think it's so important for people to have that kind of partner in their life, right? That partner that gives them the space to grow and become the man or woman that they're meant to be. We have to be that space for each other, because at the end of the day, we are going to help each other become better.
Right, and I think that comes from just being in a space where there's no fear. You know what I mean? Because I think when there's fear, that's when people start controlling other people. They start trying to contain other people, because and I've always been the upset. Look, if somebody doesn't want to be with me, well, then fine. You know what I mean? It's because if you're comfortable in yourself, right? Then it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in the point where it's catastrophic if somebody leaves. You know what I mean? It's just okay. That's the way the journey. And there's a great book by Marianne Williamson. I think it's called Return to Love. Where she says that people are meant to be in each other's lives for a specific part of time, anywhere from just being riding up to the elevator, together, saying hello, to being a partner for life. Okay, as long as you are there to grow and learn from that person, and there to grow and learn from you, you're going to spend time together. Right? So that's why it's important, like you were saying, to grow together, because that nurtures everything, and it keeps you, connected, which I think is really important. So things like that, to have, oh my God, it has to be, you can't hold on so tightly to everything. You know what I mean? Life is going to move. It's a journey, and it's exciting. And it's exciting. Like remember where we went to that wedding in St. Thomas, right? Okay, we're at the airport, and we got there late because you had to get a smoothie from raw juice. So, so we got there late, meaning that because we didn't realize that since even though it's considered an international flight, so they close the luggage portion of that early. So we got there and they say, well, you can go out on the plane, but your luggage can't. I'm like, oh, I got my tuxedo. She got her dress. That's just not working. And we go, okay, well, when's the next flight? Next week, Saturday. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to miss the wedding. So while you were talking to them, I went on. I was like, look, let's just kind of flow with this. I called some other airlines. I called some other things. We figured out a flight. We ended up spending a night in San Juan. Remember that hotel in San Juan?
Yes.
And then we took a cute little plane across the river to that was exciting too, to the island. And I think you just got to kind of flow with life. You know what I mean? If you were stuck on there, we would probably still be there arguing. You know what I mean? But now we had a great time. We got there. We had plenty of time to enjoy, and we had a beautiful time just because we learned to kind of flow with things going and not get so hung up on stuff.
That was so much fun. And it was like this couple got married, and we were getting married that day too. Like it was like our honeymoon there. Like we just had the most amazing time because we didn't take for a while time away for ourselves to go away. So that was just like that was amazing. Like we had the best time ever. And you're right, that was such a fun story because it was an adventure, right? On these little planes and planes, trains, and automobiles,
Exactly,
right? Like what's gonna get us to this wedding? And we had a blast.
Right, but life is an adventure. We gotta kind of live it on those terms. You know what I mean? It's an adventure. It's gonna unfold as you go. Now, sure, you want a direction. Right? You want a direction. You want to know where you want to go. We definitely wanted to go to that wedding. We definitely wanted to go to that island. Okay, but don't get so caught up on how are we going to get there. You know what I'm saying? How are we going to get there? Because life, universe, God has a plan. Okay, and my grandmother, she was so cute. She died when she was 94. She was so great. She used to say, "Man plans and God laughs." Because God has his plan for you, and you're going to follow that plan no matter what you're thinking, right? So if you just kind of let go and relax and kind of let things unfold and move in your direction, things are going to be fine.
I love that so much. Yeah, 100%. And that's the way we've been going through life. We haven't been stressing too much. We're going with the flow. We're keeping the love light, on, and and that's the most important thing. That is the foundation to everything. Everything else, money comes and goes, things come and go.
Right.
It's all just things. It's all just fluff. It's fluff.
Right.
It's good to have. It's important, but it's fluff. When you have that right person next to you, you can never lose. Like life is always going to feel good, and you're always going to be grateful because you have something that you can't put a price on.
Absolutely.
You can't put a price on love. You can't put a price on our connection. You can't put a price on our time together. Like it's such a gift, and we're just so grateful for that.
Right, and like you say, I think about this a lot, where especially when life gets hard. Like when you're on your deathbed, you always say that, right? When you're on your deathbed, you're not thinking about, oh, I wish I had more money. Oh, I wish I had a bigger house. No, I wish I spent more time with the people that I love and love me, right? So that's really what life is about. It's the connection. It's the being together. It's the memories and what you create with other people. That's the magic and the juice in life. And we have to really keep that in mind. It's like, how are we impacting the people around us? You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, are they leaving feeling better about themselves than when they came into my presence? And I think that if you keep that in mind, then you don't have space to be petty. There's no space to be petty because you're nurturing, you're trying to give, you're trying to contribute to other people. There's- You're not going to be like that.
Absolutely. It's all about the contribution. It's all about the love. It's all about the gratitude. That's what it's all about. So just get yourself in that space. Work on you, right? Would you
Right.
say work on your inside?
Right.
Because when you're able to get to that space where you love yourself enough to know that you deserve joy, happiness, and fun every day, then your whole life on the outside will change. You'll make
Absolutely.
better choices.
100%. 100%. I mean, you can't say that enough. It's 100%. And enjoy your freaking life. Okay, we're not here to struggle. We're not here to suffer. Okay, God does not want us to suffer. Okay, we're supposed to be enjoying our life, growing, and creating amazing, wonderful things in this life, and touching other human beings, and creating love and empowerment in other people. So that's why we're here. We're here to contribute to other people. We're not here to be stuck on petty things and be miserable our whole life. And like you said, it's really important. You cannot do that without nurturing and being refreshed yourself. You got to make time for yourself. You got to make time to enjoy the things in life that you enjoy so you can be refreshed and you can come with that attitude and with that perspective or with that mindset, however you want to call it, to be able to empower and create better things in other people's lives.
Absolutely. Well, honey, this has been so much fun.
Yeah.
I so enjoy our time together. Like, we didn't share the story of how we met, but there'll be another podcast for that. So we will
Sure, sure.
continue the conversation. And I love you so
Yeah.
much. And this has been like incredible to have you
Yeah.
here today in the studio.
I love you too, sweetheart. Yeah, I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today at the World Healing Tour podcast. Until next time, please remember to have a grateful heart, to ground in love and compassion, and know that you are guided by God. What miracles will you experience this week? I look forward to hearing from you next time. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Namaste.